All right, in this video, we're going to talk about the digestive system. I'm going to label the system over here on this absurd drawing that I drew. And over here, you guys can look at the keywords as I go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Here we go. So the first thing we're going to label is the teeth. That seems very obvious, but they are part of digestion. They actually are part of mechanical digestion. The teeth help to break things into smaller pieces, which increases surface area. The reason we want to increase surface area is because the more surface area we have, that means the more pieces of food are exposed to the environment. And the more surface area we have means more enzymes can randomly bump into it, and these chemical reactions can happen. And we're going to end up chemically digesting our food faster by increasing the surface area during mechanical digestion. So that's the first step. The mouth is called the oral cavity, and eating is sometimes referred to as ingestion. We've got these glands back here, and they're called the salivary glands. And their job is to produce salivary amylase. Whenever you see ACE, you're talking about an enzyme. And that amyl thing implies that we're digesting carbs. So salivary amylase actually chemically digests carbohydrates. So when you eat, you're breaking things into smaller pieces, but you're also doing crazy chemical reactions in your mouth where you're ripping apart starch, you're ripping apart glycogen into glucose, okay? So we're breaking down molecules into smaller molecules, specifically carbohydrates in the mouth. Right here, this is your epiglottis. It sits on top of your trachea. I'm going to just spray that so that you see it, but you don't have to color this in. So this piece right here is your trachea. That's your windpipe. The reason your epiglottis covers it is because, I hate when that happens, I'm sorry. The reason your epiglottis covers it is because it's going to prevent choking. Okay, so a key term for the regents is that the epiglottis is going to pair over here with the phrase prevents choking. A lot of times that also pairs with the esophagus since it's at the top of it. By the way, epi means on top of. So the epiglottis is right on top of the esophagus. Which brings me to the esophagus. Here it is. The esophagus is this tube. Esophagus is this tube that carries food down through your stomach. I'm going to put a little star here because it does something called peristalsis. Peristalsis is the involuntary contractions that help scoop food down through your digestive system. So it's going to happen wherever food touches, okay? I'm actually going to color in, you know what? I'm going to color in a couple things. So do color these with me. I'm going to color in things that do peristalsis, maybe like a light blue, to match this. So whatever colors you have used on your web, it might be helpful to color code it here. So I'm going to color things that do peristalsis with this blue spray paint. It's anywhere that food touches. So the path that food's going to take goes like this. So anywhere food touches, we've got involuntary muscle contractions. We know they're involuntary because I don't know about you, but I don't spend my day trying to remember to push my food through my digestive system, right? So anywhere food touches, peristalsis is happening. And we often see it in reference specifically to the esophagus. Okay, so moving right along. Here we have the stomach. It's a slightly different color. I hope that doesn't bother you too much. This is the stomach, and its job is to starts the digestion of proteins using protease, right? Proteases, specifically pepsin. It has gastric juices, and that includes an acid that, hydrochloric acid specifically, that helps to break down chemicals into smaller molecules as well. And note on the side, chemical digestion is breaking things into smaller molecules, and the goal is absorption. Okay, it also technically does a little bit of mechanical digestion too, because as the stomach churns, it's breaking up that food a little bit. All right, the next stop on the way, all the way down here, is the small intestines. They are quite large. However, the diameter of them is smaller than the large intestines. So that's why we call them that. The small intestines all have to do with absorbing. Okay, so they're absorbing nutrients. They're also breaking down. There's also a lot of chemical breakdown of foods there. And the enzymes necessary for that chemical breakdown is coming from this accessory organ called the pancreas. It's going to send enzymes over there. This organ is called the pancreas. Okay, so the pancreas, chemical digestion, the pancreas sends enzymes to the small intestines. All types of digestion happen in the small intestines: lipases, proteases, amylases, that's lipids, proteins, carbs that are being broken down by these aces. So those are enzymes breaking them down. This over here is called the gallbladder. Whenever you see the word bladder, we're thinking about like storage. So this is the gallbladder. This slightly bigger guy is the liver. The liver is going to make bile. Okay, the liver makes bile, and that's stored in the gallbladder, which eventually is also dumped into the small intestines. And its job is mechanical digestion. It kind of shakes up the fats that are floating around in there into little beads that make the surface area increase, which allows for faster digestion of lipids. All right, as the food continues through, it goes to the small intestines where it is absorbed, and there are all these little villi along the small intestines, and their job, again, we're increasing surface area, so it allows food to touch more space than it would if the small intestines were flat. So these, all these little hills represent villi, and they are for absorption. And they are in the small intestines. So villi are for absorption. They're in the small intestines. And it's going to help us absorb nutrients quicker. They're directly connected to capillaries in the bloodstream, and it just allows for diffusion to happen more efficiently. After all the nutrients are absorbed, the remaining food matter, I guess, goes to the large intestines. Down here, by the way, is our useless appendix, which essentially does nothing, whole lot of nothing. Great. It's considered a vestigial structure, and we'll talk about that during evolution. So large intestines, their job is to absorb water. So along this whole way, we're absorbing water. If not enough water is absorbed, we get diarrhea, and if too much is absorbed, we get constipation. So it's the large intestine's job to really maintain that water balance. I'm going to color in the last couple of things. I just want to make it match this. So things that are important for absorbing, I'm going to shade in orange now. Okay, so if it's important for absorbing, we're looking at the intestines down here. So they are not only doing peristalsis, but they are also hugely involved in absorption. Chemical digestion is happening, make that pink. It's going to happen up here with salivary amylase. It's happening in the stomach. It's happening in the small intestines the whole way through, okay? So the small intestines right now are doing a whole lot of stuff, right? Peristalsis we already colored. Mechanical digestion is happening also in the small intestines once again, okay? And that's coming from the liver and the gallbladder. The stuff needed for the small intestines for chemical digestion is coming from the pancreas. And the other place that we're doing mechanical digestion is in the mouth from the teeth. And I think that's all I have for you for the digestive system. All right. Bye.